which is literally relying on Heart of the Cards. We're back to square one, but this is the worst variant of Heart of the Cards that we could have gotten in the meta ever. Yugioh would be pissed. Welcome back, guys, to the Dueling Wave. Excuse the background here. I'm out of town, and so we had to kind of overcome, improvise, and adapt.
Draw your last pathetic card so I can end this, Yugi.
My grandpa's deck has no pathetic cards, Kaiba, but it does contain the unstoppable
Dueling Wave. Anyway, let's get into talking. I feel like this is more me and you one-on-one time as opposed to the usual where we're in the $10 million studio and it gets a little bit difficult because, you know, we're in the dark. I feel like Batman. Right now, we got this beautiful light going on from this window and we're just feeling good right now about ourselves. So let's get into this video. Title now. What is the most single cringe thing about Yu-Gi-Oh? What is it? There's so many. I mean, I'm sure you can right now, when I ask this question, list off maybe 10 to 20 to 30,000 things easily about the game. Should we talk about hentai game mats? Dudes holding their hands in front of them like they're freaking weird Pokemon or something. Like, you know the guys. You've seen them. We've all seen them. Acknowledging them is a bad move. We're no stranger to weird-ish in this game. Konami also doesn't do itself any favors by printing these massively disgusting Yu-Gi-Oh archetypes such as Dragon Maids or others. You know, not to crap on all your guys' favorite decks, but we've all seen them. The artworks, they're bad. It's not good. It's one of the reasons why it's hard to tell people you play Yu-Gi-Oh! When you see these artworks, you're like, my God, man, what are you guys doing? Like, if you like some of these decks, man, you might be a pederast, no lie. Like, look at this garbage. Guys, you can't defend this. This is indefensible. This is wild. This is gross. We need to stop this. Cut this out, Konami. Cut this out, Yu-Gi-Oh! Player base. If we don't buy it, they won't make it. What is this? Man, I'm ashamed to be in this game when I see Dragon Maid artworks. Like, guys, you guys unironically play this deck? That's a joke, right? And Konami knows this too, since they just instituted a rule change in the EU, but hey, I'm sure it'll come over to us too. They instituted a rule change in EU where your mat and your sleeves have to be one like uniform color or an approved mat from them, something that they licensed. Well, that doesn't really help much when you have disgusting shit like Dragon Maids, right? Like, come on. Like, regardless, if you show up with a Dragon Maid, I'd rather you show up with like a naked woman on your mat than Dragon Maids. Because at least like a naked woman, you'd be like, okay, this guy's somewhat, you know, in the normal sphere. If you have a Dragon Maid mat, there is no helping you. But is that the most cringe thing about this game? To get back to the original question of the video, I would argue that it isn't, right? It is pretty up there. It's pretty important and it's pretty disgusting. But there's one thing more cringe than even that. Now, before I get into it, we have 10 seconds, 5 seconds, 3.8 seconds. What is the most single cringe thing in Yu-Gi-Oh? Comment down below. I want to see if you can get it right. Because as hideous and abhorrent that Dragon Maid and others are, we can at least agree that their playstyle is at least pretty fun, right? Dragon Maid is a type of like a Cosmo deck where it does like battle phase tricks and whatnot. Can also make like some fusions from the extra deck. So it's a cool deck with a cool play style with a weirdly disgusting fetishy Rule 134 artwork, and that's how they get you. Dragon Maid as an archetype in terms of play style has been pretty fair and modest throughout its history. It's never been broken, never had tier 0 status, tier 1 status. I mean, has it ever even been tier 2? I think at one point it had some competitive success, but it was nothing like it was well short of the best deck in the room. But what's even more cringe and disgusting than those artworks are the playstyles of some of these decks. And I'm not talking about Dragon Maid, I'm talking about others. Other decks that have a normal artwork but a disgusting playstyle, which is what's more gross about Yu-Gi-Oh! Than even these disgusting decks. What I'm talking about is crap like the modern format that we are in right now in summer of 2024, the super heavy samurai format from a little bit ago, and numerous others, countless others in the game's history, where decks will have a 1-card combo that's super powerful, super broken, meaning that they can main million hand traps, which actually objectively becomes the right way to deal with this deck because you have to have hand traps to deal with this deck. If you don't, you lose, but it ends up being a defeater because you can never actually really play. It becomes hand trap wars. So then you just lay out your hand over the table and they lay out their hand, and then you guys just decide the winner off of that, because ultimately the person with the more combo and the more hand traps will win, right? Ends up being, do you have your 1-card combo in as many numbers as possible and as many hand traps as possible, and then let the gods of variance bless you. If we're talking about no skill, disgusting Yu-Gi-Oh, this is about as no skill and disgusting as it gets. It does not get any worse than this. We talk about flipping floodgates, or oh man, that's no skill. Is this functionally different in any capacity? I would argue no. You take one monster Do you have the hand trap? Oh, yep, here's the hand trap. All right, here's my extender. Do you have another hand trap? Yep, I have the hand trap. Okay, well, I drew a third extender. Do you have a hand trap? I do not. Okay, you win. Good game, my friend. Let's move on to game 2. And then repeat and repeat and repeat. These formats pop up constantly in the game's history. Basically, since that invoked zoo time, where one-card combos became more prevalent, we've had these type of formats consistently throughout the game. Decks pop up, overpowered. You need hand traps to deal with them. Hand traps become by default the only way to deal with them, and so you run hand traps. Overpowered one-card combos are disgusting. They enable twofold the worst things to happen to this game, where we rely on hand traps too much, which means you have to rely on hand traps. It's not even a choice. You can't just go, you know what, I'll do my one-card combos and board breakers. No, that won't work, because board breakers are objectively terrible unless a format pops up where they put all their negates out on the field so you can just dark ruler them, right? But ultimately, that format will still be dominated by hand traps, because there's other ways to go about defeating board breakers, right? Board breakers have to be in your hand, and then you have to go second, right? Well, if you omega loop them or dispatter loop them in the future, if there's a one-card combo, oh wait, there is in Snake Eyes. So if there's a one-card combo for that, you're still dealing with pretty much any potential threat, because these decks are tier 0. They have an answer for everything. They have no weakness. They're badly designed. And I have a video on this if you want to check it out up top. Hey, do it. Don't be weak, just do it. But do it after you watch this video. Come back to this time point in the video. Let's keep going. First, one of the biggest problems with these type of decks is you have a small engine one-card combo deck where the engine functionally takes up maybe 15 to 20 slots at max in the deck. That's your whole engine. Every single card you need, your starter, extender, everything you have. So you have everything already functionally good to go. You don't need to worry about, oh man, like, what if I need my Fallen of Albaz at 3 because if I draw 1 and then I banish the other. No, this deck you don't have to worry about that, bro. They did it for you. We've streamlined it. Just buy it. That's all you need. Do you have the money? You have the money? Hey, screw that rent stuff and food. Get this deck. And because you have this awesome small engine, guess what? Hand traps, 20 of them. Yay, let's go. Or I would argue even worse, you can run another engine, right? Because, oh wait, this is not the only deck with a small engine in the game. So here's another small engine deck. Kashtira Snake Eye, for example, right? Here's my 2 field spell, 1 Fenrir, 1 Unicorn, 1 Theosis, 1 Birth, or whatever. Maybe you don't even run Theosis. I saw some builds that weren't even running Theosis, which is like objectively like the most busted card in the deck, but they don't run it because I think it only locks you into XYZ. That is insanity, right? Kashtira is its own thing. Definitely should be addressed too on the next ban list. This is nonsense. Just mixing all these archetypes together, like, here's this stupid combo deck. Here's this stupid deck with a bunch of hand traps. This is, if you guys qualify this as, quality deck building, creative deck building, you guys are wild. Speaking to Konami, obviously, you guys can't control card design. When we go back to Super Heavy, talking about that a little bit earlier, if you drew exactly 1 hand trap against Super Heavy, you lost. There was no way you could beat that deck. So then therefore you had to run more and more hand traps to be able to combat that deck. The only one hand trap that could solo a super heavy board would be Ghost Ogre, and that's if they didn't have exactly Gamma. If they had Gamma, you had a 130% chance of losing. That game was over on the spot because you lost the Ogre, Omega, you lost another card, or they would go into Barone, which makes you lose another card. Either way, you're losing that game. There's no chance you have of pulling that out somehow. And if you had 2 hand traps and you went all in and you were able to stuff them, they're still able to put out 2 level 4s, make a Baguska, and then delay the game for a little while at least until they can kind of find their own footing again, reset, and go in again. Hand traps were the best answer in that format. They weren't as good of an answer now, as they are now, but still they were the best answer, and still they weren't even that good, right? You're forced to run a minimum of 12 hand traps. Think about it. 12, 24, 36. That's a little bit under 1/3 of your deck. And sometimes you have to run a maximum of 21. Like Tenpai runs like 21 hand traps. What this does is introduce a little thing we like to call variance. Is something in games that is probably the single worst thing to ever happen to the world, right? It's related to the RNG factor, and no one likes RNG. Why? Because that takes out the winning or the losing out of your hands and puts it in basically the fact that you rolled a dice. You didn't win because you outplayed your opponent. You won because you rolled a 6 and they rolled a 5. Suck it. Or worse, you lost because they rolled a 6 and you rolled a 5. It's always worse to lose than to win. John Madden quotes. You can stuff your deck till it's busting at the seams with hand traps, so that you can essentially guarantee drawing a minimum of, let's say, 2. But guess what? There's a real chance of you drawing 4 to 5 hand traps in your opening hand and just going like, guess I'm not playing. You're not either, but yeah, I'm definitely not playing. You don't have a viable win condition, because these hand traps are ultimately just, modern versions of trap cards, because trap cards are too slow for a game this over-bloated and over-designed and absolutely power-crept into oblivion, unless they're shit like D-Barrier. So games will devolve into players throwing hand traps at each other, slapping each other across the face with hand traps, until one-card combo just gets pushed right through with a cross out, or maybe you just didn't have that one hand trap for that extender that they had. And guess what? You lose. So skilled. When we said we wanted a multi-turn game, Konami, this is not what we meant. We didn't want Snake Eye mirrors that went 4 or 5 turns, quote unquote, because of stupid hand traps basically shutting turns down. This crap is also compounded by the fact that Snake Eyes is a linear, brain-dead AI design deck that has absolutely no skill involved. What it does is one card gets one card, one card gets one card, one card gets 2 cards, 2 cards get 4 cards, 4 card gets 8 cards, and all of a sudden you're swimming in advantage. Well, guess what? That means, hey, to stop this deck, oh, but wait, hold on. There's not like a choke point. You can't just hit the Ash, right? Because they'll just, oh, wait, I have the extender for Poplar, and then I still get full combo anyway. So the way you have to deal with this deck is to hit it early, and as often as possible early, to just stop it entirely in its tracks. There is no skill. There is no, man, I really studied the matchup. I found that right here, if I hit them, I'm able to break their board. I'm able to beat them. I'm able to do this. I'm able to do that. No, it's get your numbers up, rookie. Those are rookie numbers. Hit 15, 16, 17, 18 hand traps. You draw 2 to 3 in every hand, so you can hit them 2 to 3 times, and on average, that's enough to stop them. And then they're going to do the same to you, and then you're just basically both praying for one of you to top deck something to pull you out of this mess, which is literally relying on Heart of the Cards. We're back to square one, but this is the worst variant of Heart of the Cards that we could have gotten in the meta ever. Yugioh would be pissed. Is this anyone's definition of riveting gameplay? I think not. And what's the worst thing about these formats is that because they're so boring and so linear and so not interesting and not fun, hand trap obsessed, the format feels like it goes on forever. It never ends. It's like Chinese water torture. At first, it starts with like 1 drop, 2 drops, 3 drops, and you're like, okay, this isn't so bad. How is this torture? All of a sudden, you're a month in, and you're like, oh my God, I'd rather, cut my legs off than be in this moment, which is kind of where we're at in the format, right? And they refuse to give us a ban list. Every pro player that plays every single format has my respect, because ultimately, some of these formats are absolutely unbearable. I don't know how you guys do it, but playing this crap format that's just an extension of the last format and just continuing to play it, I'll give you all the props in the world. You guys could probably play solitaire by yourselves in your room if there was a prize involved, but like a crappy prize, right? It can't be a good prize. If you guys were offered like a $6 gift voucher for Subway just to play solitaire in your room for 10 hours at a time, you guys would do it because, masochists, I'm sure. I don't know about you guys, but I don't think that a mat, a deck box, maybe a 7-year-old console is enough to justify me playing and wasting valuable time on a deck this degenerate and this bad. This determination I have not seen since the Red Army in 45. What do you guys think? Let me know down in the comments below. Do you like these hand trap formats? Or just what do you think about hand traps in general? If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, to subscribe, to do all that good stuff, because we want you back here. And don't forget to share the video with your friends, maybe your dentist. Otherwise, check out the Discord in the description. We have some goodies on there. We have a little alternate format that we like to run because this format sucks so much ass. It's actually pretty sweet. Check out the ban list. The ban list is official, looks Konami-esque. And so go there, become a member, and we'll go kick some ass together. And I'll see ya as always.